Hello and welcome to the Post Lift Podcast, episode number 2. I'm your host, John. Thank you to everybody who watched episode number 1. And if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's on my Spotify and my YouTube, the Post Lift Podcast. Go check it out. I kind of give you a timeline of my training and where I've been, from high school and soccer to weightlifting and then all the way to now where I'm just trying to be healthy, but I'm looking at hopefully starting a career in law enforcement, eventually going to the academy and just what that looks like. So I also just give you a little bit of an introduction to myself and kind of the point of the podcast. So go check that out if you haven't listened to it. Also, thank you to anybody who reached out to me. I had some good feedback, and as requested, I said, hey, is there anything you want to have me talk about? And some of you gave me some suggestions. So thank you for that. Continue to do that. My social medias are at the Post Lift Podcast. Look that up. I mostly can interact with you on Instagram, but also on YouTube as well if you want to send me, something in the comments. But on Instagram, shoot me a DM, comment on stuff, say, hey, enjoy the podcast, or, oh, I'd love to hear about XYZ. I'd love to hear from you guys. Like I said last week, this is something for me, but also this is something hopefully for you as well. And I really want to be there for one another. Anyways, today's topic is not necessarily piggybacking completely off of last week, but there was a certain theme that I recognized with my training timeline, and that word I would say is inconsistent. I'll be brutally honest, but I've also been kind of thinking through this idea. Me and my dad, we've been talking about this concept of action and attitude and what that looks like. So just kind of combining those two things. I've thought about it a little bit, but I wanted to come on here and talk to you as well, and maybe you can have some ideas behind it as well. So let's unpack it together. Some of you might have seen that on my Instagram that I was in the hospital yesterday. That's why I didn't post my video on Sunday and my Spotify. But I was in the hospital. I'm okay. I'm not going to try to be dramatic. The only thing I will give you advice-wise is chew your food. Because if you don't, you can get a lot of stomach pain, and they rush you in, and they say, we can't feed you anything, you can't eat. They give you a bunch of medication to resolve things in your intestines. And yeah, I am weak today. I am so weak and tired. But during that time of being in the hospital, I was able to just sit there and think about a lot of things because I was over there for around 24 hours. And, I just sat in bed mostly watching food YouTube videos while I couldn't eat to torture myself because apparently I don't know. Is that a masochist? I think it's a masochist. Anyways, so yeah, lots of thoughts, and I hope you are willing to come on the ride with me while we unpack these things. So action and attitude and looking at inconsistencies of training and just kind of that whole thing. I like the idea of action and attitude because it applies to all walks of life. Fitness, work, your love life, friendships, self-talk, anything, sleep, food, really applies to it. If you do not have a positive mindset, you're probably not going to act well. And if you don't act on your positive mindset, you're not going to get the outcome that you talk about all the time. Kind of you have to walk the walk to talk the talk, and you have to talk the talk to walk the walk. Kind of those two things, pretty simple concept that we're all used to. And that's the thing is we all know these things. If you have the right attitude about something and you act on it accordingly, you're going to have a good result, most likely. So where does that apply for me in training and inconsistency? Kind of last week with the timeline, I've recognized, and I think even kind of mentioned it, that there's these times where I have these peaks and these troughs, these highs and lows where I'm training a bunch and I'm kind of happy, and then all of a sudden things kind of start fizzling out, and then I'm just on this low point. And I had to ask myself, why is that? Why is that? And two answers I can think of are boredom and laziness. And what do those look like? We'll tackle laziness first just because laziness is one of the biggest human errors you can make in your life, and we all do it. It applies to so many different areas of I'm not really feeling this thing right now, or oh, I'll get to it, procrastination, and making excuses rather than just going for the thing. And at the end of the day, we just feel way more crappy about how we're feeling. We're just not in the same spot that we expect ourselves to be. And I don't know if that's just ignorance or if it's just not a lack of self-worth or if it's just not the attitude you want to have. And I think there were periods of time where I would make up dumb excuses. For example, one of my biggest dumb excuses with not training is distance from the gym. That was one of the things that kind of stopped me making consistent days for Olympic weightlifting. I lived 20 minutes from my gym, and some of you are like, holy crap, that's so close. It is pretty close. But I have this dumb thing where if the gym isn't 5 to 10 minutes away from me, I'm probably not going to go. And that's such a bullcrap excuse, and I know it's bullcrap. There's a reason why I have a barbell rack and weights behind me right now. It's because I want to be consistent. I got these during COVID as well. It was just kind of like, well, what am I going to do? But it's like I have to hack ways to make myself train sometimes. I love training. I know I do. I have these goals that I want to make, but if you aren't able to recognize your dumb weaknesses, even if they're bullcrap, and you aren't able to have a plan to change that, you're not going to get anywhere. So one of my solutions was, and I've had gyms in the past, I've had these, it's like, I can either go to the gym, or if there's a day that I'm like, I don't want to do this, let's whip out these bad boys and start training. And now I'm gotten to a point where I'm like, all right, this is going to be my gym. I'm going to try to do the whole home workout thing. And it's been nice. I've had days where I've been doing it, and I've been committing to trying to run more. This also just applies to me trying to get in law enforcement and, to crush my fitness test, my PFTs, but also looking towards academy and, having something instantly there that, at the end of the day I can come back to and crush. And then I think the police department also has a gym, so I can be consistent with that. But I digress. Trying to find ways of hacking your laziness to be like, all right, what are my weaknesses with this? Why am I feeling this way? And is it valid? 90% of the time, it is not. 99% of the time. So just be honest with yourself. Be like, hey, is this excuse for myself legitimate, or am I just being a tub of lard right now? And I've been a tub of lard a ton of times. Now, on the flip side, I know that I've had success with things. And it's like, why is that? And it's because I've been active about the things that I want. And it's been like, all right, I want this thing. Let me go do it. I want a better clean and jerk. Let me train it more. Let me squat more. And, I want to be bigger and I want to have more muscle. Let me eat 3,200 calories every single day and be consistent with my diet. I've had that success. So I'm not going to sit here and talk to you and be like, action and attitude, I've been adequate with the things that I've done. Like, I will be the first person to say that I am not that guy. And it's not a negative thing. It's just honest. And if you're able to have that honest conversation with yourself of, am I actually doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I having the healthy self-talk? Am I actively doing what I should be doing? Am I seeing results? Or am I saying, oh, I don't want to go to the gym today because it's 20 minutes away from me, and I have to have something that's 5 to 10 minutes away from me because I'm a princess. That's just not a healthy mindset to have at the end of the day. And I've had that sort of thing happen in school. I've had it happen in friendships, in my relationships in the past, and it's just like, it doesn't lead to results. And I'm not going to use the word happiness because that's also a misleading thing of only striving for happiness. Maybe that's a little too philosophical. But no, it's true. Understanding that what makes you, I guess, happy, motivated is a better word, is important. So that's the laziness side of things. And I guess this whole, happiness, motivation talk leads to the other side, boredom. Was I bored? Yes. And that's been a huge thing of maturing with fitness, is understanding that you can make changes to things. For example, there's all these trends that go on online, and it's cool to see some of them. Some of them are fun, and some of them aren't my cup of tea. But at the same time, it's been really cool seeing kind of this emergence of cardio in the fitness world. There's always been runners and whatnot, but the average gym bro, a lot more people are, I think, opening their eyes to being healthy and understanding that cardio is a huge aspect of that. So that maturing and understanding that things can change is an aspect of your fitness timeline and journey. Your journey, I hate that word. But it's an aspect of it, and understanding that and accepting it is really important, and understanding that things aren't going to be the same all the time, and it's probably not healthy to be the same all the time. Are you going to put 500 pounds on your barbell and squat every single day? You're going to murder yourself at the end of the day. Like, you're going to be so resentful with your training, and you're not going to feel good. It's just not tangible to having this consistent future. So having the right motivators and understanding that things are going to change is huge. And in terms of the boredom thing, like, just understanding that you are going to get bored with things. Now, there is another side of this where it's like, maybe if I just pushed through that boredom and had the right motivation, I would stay consistent. Who knows? Maybe I would have not gotten to Olympic weightlifting. I'm glad I did, but let's say, I stayed consistent with wanting to put on size since I'm such a lean guy. And, back in, 2019, 2020, what if I just still committed to that? I'd be a lot bigger today if I maybe pushed through some of the boredom I had with that, and just, maybe I would have found something more with it, something deeper. But at the same time, I guess it's okay to realize that maybe you want different things in life. And even that happened with Olympic weightlifting. I thought it was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing I want. And there's still a lot of things that I want from it, but also just getting to a point, I'm 27, I'm still young, but I'm getting to a point where I'm like, oh, it's okay for me to just want to be healthy, so that I'm healthier for myself, and then if I have a family someday, and just what that looks like, and starting earlier rather than later in life. So understanding that sometimes your boredom could just be a sign of, like, I need to change things. But in terms of your attitude, it also could just be, lack of motivation. So I guess those two things of laziness and boredom are just factors I've been kind of thinking about, and like where I'm at and what have I done in the past, and have my inconsistencies been more my boredom or my laziness? And it's been a kind of 50-50 of both. But I think it's easier to change the boredom because it's just finding something else. I will probably get to a point where I do need to change something in the future again, and just being comfortable with that, and understanding that I might get bored. But I think your goal should be trying to stay away from that as much as possible, and it just comes down to changing what your habits are, and changing, where you're at, and finding better motivations. And knowing where you're going is really important. Like, for me, I think something that's helped with the whole boredom thing and having a motivation is knowing that I want to become a police officer, and I will have to go to a police academy for that. So what do I have to do to get there? So I guess this ties well back to the complete story of action and attitude. So we have physical fitness tests that we have to make, and for being hired, but also for graduating academy. And I could sit here and be like, I'm going to crush this. I'm going to be the man. Oh, and I've been successful so far. But I don't want to just let that be my only thing. I don't want to be the only thing that's pushing me forward. I also want to have this healthy mindset of, well, I have been doing well, but what could I do better? The first thing that really brought this on was my last PFT. The deputy chief was there alongside with our normal lieutenant and sergeant who run the test, but the deputy chief was there to oversee things as well, and just kind of get an aspect of where us guys were at. And I'm not saying this big-headedly and giving myself a pat on the back, but I've probably been the most fit person out of everybody out of us 5 guys, which has also been hard because I'm an empathic person. I like seeing everybody succeed, so it's been tough not seeing people succeed. But as successful as I have been, And, there's been some moments where I'm like, oh, I got to go do the PFT, but I don't really feel like training right now. So, like, I'll just show up and do it because I know that I've done it in the past. And there's been moments of that, I'll be honest. The deputy chief was like, wow, you did really well, but I feel like you're holding back. You have this successful time, but, like, there's more to you. There's more that you could be giving, and it's important to recognize that because once you get to academy, you're going to be kicking your butt a lot harder. So just thinking about that moment and knowing that it was specifically my run and just how that went. I wasn't my gait wasn't as wide as it could be for my run. I had a very narrow gait, and in terms of sprinting it at the end, I sprinted probably 3/4 of the final lap, and they're like, you probably could have done the whole thing and really gassed yourself out. Like, you should be huffing and puffing and puking at the end. And just, I guess that's stuck with me because, you have this thing where it's like, hey, you've been successful. Great. Good on you. But then they're like, you can do more, and that's a really healthy thing to have, of knowing that, like, yes, you have limits, but also you're so much more capable of things than you think you are, mentally and physically. So my goal was for my PFT to really push it. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to do it tomorrow because of, going to the hospital, and I'm so weak today. But I'm going to try to push myself more. And I'm saying that for myself right now, knowing that it's going to be out here in front of you guys. So I'm going to try to run more in a way that really pushes myself. And I'm really going to try to get back to squatting, because I think my original thing was like, oh, I'm not going to squat anymore because my run is is going to get affected by that. But that's just kind of reverse thinking. Like, the way you squat can really improve your run. You have to do them in the correct way, cross-training wise. But yeah, just this idea of, like, I've had this healthy attitude behind my training and success with my PFT, but my action with it is like, yeah, I need to push myself harder, and mentally getting past a mental barrier of, like, all right, I know that I'm going to have to suffer through this. I know I'm going to maybe puke, and really trying to go to a different zone is really kind of where I'm at right now. And I guess that kind of piles on to seeing the other guys where they haven't had as much success. And I'm not going to name any names or anything like that. I don't think any of you guys know them anyways, but I just want to not make it something towards them. But thinking of things conceptually with some of the attitudes I've seen guys who are really hard on themselves, and I think honesty has been a big issue with where they're at, of understanding, how they've been training and where they're going, and then showing up and then not having the result they're expecting. And then I've had guys where they've had an incredible attitude to the point that maybe they're not being as truthful with themselves as they could be, and then not getting the result, and then everybody being like, hey, here's some improvements for you, and they're like, yeah, and they're just positive all around. So if they were to change their attitude, maybe be more realistic about things and understanding that, like, all right, I need to be resilient, and I need to sacrifice in this moment, and then actively act on that and put in the work to be like, all right, I'm going to do more even when I don't want to. I'm not going to make these excuses. I'm actually going to go do this thing physically. At the end of the day, they're going to come back with a better result. I'm going to come back with a better result. I'm going to be able to have this mindset of, like, I'm not doing enough. I am capable of more, just like my deputy chief told me. And I'm going to train hard to be able to get to that point. That's a very, very powerful thing. Knowing what your limits are important, but also just, like, trying to go into that no man's land of, I can do more. That's been a testament to my life recently as well. I'm not a big risk taker. I'm sometimes over-calculated and an overthinker. And even with law enforcement, I didn't originally think I was going to be able to get into this line of work, and it's been taken 2 years, but I've been not resentful. What am I saying? I've been resilient. Hopefully I haven't been resentful. I've been resilient throughout the whole thing, and I've gotten to a point where, fingers crossed, knock on wood, And I'm not going to say I'm hired fully yet, but it looks like things are going well for me. And that's just been a testament to my attitude and the way that I've been able to tackle this whole thing by taking a risk, by saying, hey, don't have all that negative talk really affect you. Just push through and try to get to the other side and see what happens. And just pushing. So it's gotten me to a point that I would like to say I'm proud of, and I am proud of. I'm still holding my breath because I want to get to the other side, realistically, but it's okay to start out with small steps and to try to push the limit a little bit, maybe be a little risky and do that thing you didn't think you were capable of doing, because eventually you're going to get to a point where you're having success if you just take those small steps, because they build up over time. And understanding that we do all start somewhere, and in terms of the gym, I think I talked about this last week, like understanding that you are going to have to start somewhere, and you need to just be realistic about that, but also understanding that like you're going to be able to be squatting a lot more at some point than you ever were. So that's just all very important. And also understanding, I guess, with the whole happiness motivation thing is payoff. I think if you understand where you're going and understanding what the payoff is, that will be your motivator. The thing I would align with that is with Olympic weightlifting, a common theme is most people hate it like 70 to 80% of the time. That's a high percentage. You're like, I do not want to do this. This hurts. I am tired. But you get this payoff in the end where you either get a PR or your technique gets better, and you just feel good some of those days. And it's just like, it's addictive and you want to keep going. A thing I would align it with too is running. Like, running sucks. I hate running, but recognizing that it gets easier over time, or you just get this, like the runner's high. It's a true thing. You get it. When I started my PFT process, like, yeah, I was able to run well, but I was huffing and puffing and it was painful. Now I'm in a position where it's getting easier. And I think the whole point of that conversation the other day with the deputy chief was just, waking me up to the fact that I need to push again and to get to that other side. So payoff is a really powerful thing. If you have an idea of where you want to go as a goal, and then you successfully have that and there's payoff, that's really where this whole idea of happiness comes from. It's a motivator to say, wow, I just did that, and I put in the work and I had the right attitude behind it, and I can do that again. And I can do it again in all different walks of life. One area that's really applied for me has been sleep. I had a lot of issues with that in my years, and understanding where I'm at now has been huge, of just knowing that I can get 8 hours a night and be comfortable with that. And I've worked hard with it. I've done my research. I'm taking magnesium. I do the whole tape mouth thing and trying to not be on my phone as much anymore. Like, I'm taking active steps, and I've been positive about it, and I've been hopeful about it to be able to get to this other side of, like, I am getting 8 hours of sleep every night. And that's just so crucial to all facets of life. But I've had that result and that payoff, and it's been very encouraging. And then I think when you get that payoff, you're also able to help other people too. So, for example, the PFT, I had success with it. I've had success with it multiple times, and I've been able to encourage some of the other guys. So there's been times where I've maybe given some unwanted advice. I will be the first to admit that. But that's something maybe I recognize more myself that I've done. They've all been very accepting of it, but because I've had success, I've been able to help them a little bit, and I like to think that I have. But even like my mom, she sleeps with this CPAP and has apnea issues and has some sleeping issues, and we've been having really meaningful conversations of what can happen. I've gotten her on the mouth tape train, and she loves it. And she said, wow, I'm sleeping even deeper than I was even with my CPAP, So I think there's a thing where if you get that payoff and you work through hard and you do well and you have the right attitude behind it, you might be able to help some other people in the long run and pick them up. And that's a really beautiful thing. I think that's what we're supposed to do in our life, is just, you have all this wealth of knowledge and you're still learning and growing, but you're able to share that with other people. Yeah, that's a really powerful thing, I think. So, where am I going now? I think I need to, again, push harder. Like I said, I need to dig a little deeper with my training, and I just need to do it. I think there's just been a little bit of procrastination with being consistent, and I can make the excuse that I am working too many hours. I do a little landscaping right now for my work, and I'm tired by the end of the day, but I just need to get back here and do it. And it's important that I say this to you so then I can keep doing it. So, yeah, I think I'm just like I'm at this point where I have a lot of the positive attitude, but I think I just need to do it. I think that's an important thing to talk about is I think I have the right attitude and the right motivation, but my action is just really lacking right now. And if you have over positive or, kind of this idea of that you're capable of something to a point where it's like not true, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how to word this. If you are ignorant to reality, then you're not going to have the result you're going to want to have. So, for example, I think what I'm trying to say is like I know that I can do training and I know I can get results, but I'm just not doing it right now, and that's not good. I think it goes back to last week where I talked about accountability. Like I just haven't been accountable to myself. I think another thing too has just been feeling like I haven't been eating as much as I can be. So I just have been struggling, I think, with the action portion of action and attitude like I've been talking about. So I need to get on that train. Obviously, I'm not doing that today. I feel like crap. But committing to that and having a goal of where I want to go is really important. And my goal right now is to get stronger, to be faster, just be healthier. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So yeah, today was a little bit all over the place, and that's partly just because I'm contemplating these things, like I said, and I want to just, maybe it will make you think of a certain aspect of this whole action and attitude thing. I think at the end of the day, just to make a summation, it is if you want to have the right attitude behind things, find a good motivator, whether it's a person or it's a goal. Like that, having a good motivator of what you want to have is really huge, and then acting on it. Now, don't just say you're going to do the thing or you want this result. Like, work on it. We live in a time right now where everything online is not as authentic as it should be. It's not a true representation of life. Very few people, I'm not giving myself a pat on the back, but most people are not going to just sit here and be like, holy crap, I'm not actually acting on the thing that I said I wanted to act on, and I'm not getting the result I want to have. Everybody just shows you the content of, oh, I'm doing this thing and I'm super successful. I'm kind of at I wouldn't say a low point because I've been successful with my PFTs and like I'm trying to get back into the gym, but I just have been so lazy with it, and I need to get back to it because it's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for you guys to see, but there is a healthy aspect to it where it's like, I'm going to be real with you. I'm just going to say I've been a piece of crap with my training, and I want to build off of that. And I know I can do it, and I know I can push myself, and I'm going to do that. And maybe you feel like you're in the same boat right now, or you're just like, I'm not where I should be, and I need to change. And I hope you do. So know that you're not alone with it. I'm here with you in it, and I know that we're going to be able to push through. So, yeah, I think it's just good for me to do that because there's not as much authenticity online as there should be. And I even fall to that too. Like I get caught up in the clutches of like, oh my gosh, look at this person do this thing. My life sucks. How could I ever be possibly do that same thing, And it's like, that's bullcrap at the end of the day if you talk to yourself like that. So I luckily have been more comfortable with knowing what I'm capable of, but I just haven't been acting on it. And than the deep thoughts of like maybe I'm not capable of doing it. They can seep in slowly. Sorry, I don't mean to be such a downer, but it's true. Like it just, I guess there's a little bit of disappointment in myself of knowing where I am at right now, and it's good to recognize that. But now I have to be like, all right, let's change the plan. So I'm going to try to run more. I'm going to try to squat. That's been one of my big things. I posted a video the other day of me benching for the first time in forever. I think I only got like 195 on the bar. I'm extremely weak, and I squirmed with 2 reps of that and really bad. I did terrible form. And so that was something I looked at and I was like, holy crap, I really need to get back up there. I also posted a video of me doing a squat jerk, and I think it was like with 240, 250 on the bar. And I was like, wow, I used to be a lot stronger. I could not do that at all now. So seeing those things are really cool for me because I'm like, I know that I'm capable of doing that. I just need to get after it and be active and stay consistent. I've been ramping up my calories recently. I've been eating a lot more, maybe to the point that it puts me in the hospital. But I've been eating more and I've been trying to sleep well, and that's been my big thing is like if you eat well, and you sleep well, you're gonna most likely train well. So that's been one of my big goals. I think I'm ramping up to it. Obviously, this whole hospital visit kind of put a wrench in that whole thing, but I am trying. I'm gonna get back to the gym and really, get back to here, I guess, in the barn and start training again. So, yeah, we're gonna do it. I believe in you. I always have, even though we've only known each other for a little bit. I believe in you. So yeah, a little bit all over the place today. I think I'm still loopy from not eating. I have, so let's see. I have had Saturday at 5:30 p.m. we had dinner. I had two red hot dogs from Maine. You know what I'm talking about. And then I had chips and some grilled zucchini. And then I just felt awful. That's the last thing I ate. So that was Saturday at 5:30. It is now Monday at 1 o'clock. And the only thing I've had between that period of time has been cream of wheat and a very small peanut butter and jelly sandwich at the hospital. So I'm kind of out of it, which I'm like slowly recognizing the more that I'm talking and I'm recording this episode. I was like, have I spoken about that yet? Where am I going? So bear with me. I'm going to try to eat more, try to get back to it. Yeah. This is really an episode for me. I've been trying to talk to you guys, but this ending has really been talking to myself. But in terms of things that you guys have been interested, one of the topics that my soccer coach reached out to me about in terms of like things he wanted to hear about was flip throwing. So in high school, I used to do this thing called a flip throw. I'll break it down for you. In the sport of soccer, if the ball gets kicked out by team A, the ball automatically goes to team B to throw in, and you have to throw it over your head a specific way, and you have to drag your foot, and there's all this other stuff. Like you have to have 2 feet on the ground, and you have to throw the ball. It's this whole thing. It's really weird, the rules behind it, but there's this hack in soccer that some people figured out where if you do a front handspring, and you hold the ball at the same time, and you do the front handspring, the ball goes on the ground, your legs flip overwards, you get enough momentum that you're pretty much a catapult to go, whoo, to throw it forward. And I was able to throw the ball probably, I'd say like a little bit more than half the field when I was at my peak. Usually it was like half the field to like a quarter of the field I was able to throw it. And so I did this thing throughout my my high school career in soccer, and we scored off some set plays. Everybody's sitting there on the field waiting for the ball to come in and score off of it. There was also a period of time, I think it was the quarterfinals in my senior year. We were playing this team, and I did a flip throw from the halfway mark into the 18-yard box, and it went off the goalie's hands and then into the goal. Now, the important part of that is if I just throw the ball into the net and nobody touches it, it's a no goal. But if it makes contact with any other single person, it counts as a goal. So I don't remember if it was my final goal in high school. I think it was, but my last goal was a flip throw off the keeper's hands into the goal, so it counted. And that was a crazy moment. Everybody went crazy. So the progression that happened with doing that in 8th grade, my school was very small. I think I said that last time. So we played 8th grade through senior year for varsity sports, which was kind of cool. You got 5 years of sports. And 8th grade, I got introduced to it by my coach because I think I did I don't know why he was able to figure out. That'd be a good question to ask him. I don't remember why he was like, hey, can you do this thing? And it started off by me maybe being able to throw it 20 feet. And then just because it was weird, 20, 30 feet, I was able to throw it. And then over time, I was able to figure out the dynamic of the front handspring with holding onto the ball and just really whipping it. And the beginning, the issue was not being able to throw it very far was my release point. I used to throw it release way too early, so then it got more arc. And then over time, I was figuring out when I was able to throw it and what distance that would create. And that was really important with being able to be more strategic with my throwing and placement. And by the end of my senior year, I had a lot more power on it, and that brought the distance. I was able to release it earlier, but it had more of a beeline throw. But then I was also able to have the mindset of I can arc it more, where if I really need to get up and over, I can do that too. So it was a really huge asset to my soccer. It was what I was known for. It was really funny because you'd go into other teams and they'd be like, holy crap, look at that guy. And by senior year, I think there was 1 or 2 teams that started doing it and pissed me off because I was the guy who did it and all the teams that we played. So that was kind of annoying. But I was a lot more powerful with it. It was kind of the thing that people remembered me for. Even to this day, they'll be like, oh, John Robert. That's my full name. They'd be like, John Robert, you were the guy who did the flip throws. And I was like, yeah. So people still bring it up. I hurt my ribs a lot of the times that I did that. I don't think I told my coach that. It hurt a lot of the time that I did it because of the amount of momentum I applied to it. I got a lot of rib pain to it. And then to the point where now, for some reason, and I graduated in 2016. It's 2025 now. So we're coming up on a decade of being out of high school. My sternum still kind of cracks to this day. So I don't know if I just didn't warm up properly with it. But yeah, it was kind of a cool experience. I'm glad that I had that. I'm glad that I was known for it in the end. I could not do it for the life of me now, probably. And if I did, I would probably hurt myself. But yeah, it was cool. So there's so many videos online of people doing it. So if you want to look it up, just say, soccer free throw, soccer flip throw. Go check it out. Pretty cool. I used to do that in high school. And yeah, that's for you, Coach Spalding. That was a great time. And it instantly, just the second that I'm talking about this, is bringing back so many memories of trips. My school is really interesting because it was so small. All the other teams we'd have to play were several hours away. We also didn't have a bus, so we all took cars or vans. I know my coach had a huge van that he was able to pack a bunch of people into, but we had on average it would be 2 hours on minimum for our trips, and then our farthest trips away were 4 hours. And we had a couple teams that we would play that were 4 hours away. We even had some teams that were out on islands in Maine, so it would be an hour trip up, an hour or two up to the ferry, and then it would be an hour to an hour and a half out to the island, even to the point where we would stay there overnight and play them. And those are really good memories, just seeing the beauty of Maine. If you've never been to Maine, please come. There's so much to explore, and don't come to just the southern Maine area. Go explore on the coast. Go explore in the mountains. It's beautiful. We have good food. We're a little bit behind on the times, but maybe that's a good thing. So that's my invitation to you. So, yeah. Thank you for listening today. I know we were a little bit all over the place. Like I said, I think I'm still a little loopy from not having calories in me. I'll probably watch this back and be like, holy crap. But yeah, future episodes, I think we're going to have a little bit more positive self-talk. And, I'm sure I'll hear from you guys of things that you want me to talk about. I think in the future, I want to talk about sleep more in depth. What else do I got on my phone? Let's see. I know sleep was one of them. And yeah, that's really all I have right now. I think we'll talk a little bit more about my training in the future and just kind of where I'm at. I think maybe next episode I'll try to do that a little bit more. Just be like, all right, this is what I've done so far. Because, that was kind of what I used to do back in the day. It was the Post Lift podcast. I would do my training and then be like, this is what I've done in the week. Today was more topical, but I'll get to that in the future. Appreciate you guys listening. If you want to follow me on Instagram, on Spotify, YouTube, I even have a TikTok. I've barely used it. It's all at the Post Lift Podcast. Check it out. Give me a follow. Give me a like. Comment on things. Shoot me a DM. All the fun things. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit me up. I'd love it. And yeah, if you want to hear anything, please message me. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'm going to go try to eat more now because I am so spaced out. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon. I hope you have a lovely day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.